Welcome to This Explainer. You know, when most of us picture sunny Florida, we think of pristine beaches, palm trees, the absolute perfect vacation spot, right? Well, what that idyllic geography actually hides is a cutthroat, highly lucrative healthcare economy. Today, we're dissecting the hidden mechanics of the addiction treatment industry. This is a massive ecosystem generating billions of dollars, and we're going to look at the new technology stepping in to disrupt what is frankly a fundamentally broken system. And this matters to every single one of us, because the massive amounts of money churning behind the scenes of these facilities, it ultimately ripples out to impact the broader healthcare ecosystem, our insurance premiums, and most importantly, the transparency of care for vulnerable people.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Check out this quote from our market research. You might be wondering, why are facilities willing to spend huge, massive sums of money to fly patients all the way across the country for what the industry calls destination rehab? Well, it all comes down to out-of-network PPO policies. Historically, insurance companies reimbursed out-of-network providers in Florida at significantly higher rates. So when a facility brings in an out-of-state patient who has premium private health insurance, they can literally generate tens of thousands of dollars in billing. We're talking intensive urinalysis testing, tiered outpatient care, the whole shebang. And that's just within the first 30 days.
To see exactly how this engine runs, here's our quick roadmap. We'll cover the destination rehab capital, look at the resulting digital bloodbath, examine the broker problem, dive into a really fascinating disruption case study called mdaddiction.help, and finally, break down the net zero economics that are completely changing the game.
Section 1. The Destination Rehab Capital. Our data points straight to South Florida, specifically that beautiful coastal corridor of Delray Beach, Boca Raton, and West Palm Beach as the absolute geographic epicenter of the U.S. addiction treatment industry. We're talking hundreds of detoxes, residential facilities, and sober living homes packed into this area. And their marketing? It isn't local. It's a massive national net cast out to pull patients from their home states straight into the Florida sunshine.
And they pull this off using what's known as the Florida model. So unlike a traditional hospital rehab where patients sleep and get clinical care in the exact same licensed building, the Florida model splits it up. Patients actually live in loosely regulated, low-cost sober living homes, and then they travel every day to a completely separate clinical facility for intensive outpatient or partial hospitalization care. It is, honestly, astonishing how efficiently this structure was designed. It drastically reduces regulatory burdens and overhead, all while completely maximizing the clinical hours a facility can bill to insurance.
Section 2. The digital bloodbath. Now, what's really interesting about this is that because the barrier to entry for that Florida model is just so incredibly low, it's created a completely ultra-saturated market.
Since the lifetime billing value of an out-of-state PPO patient is just phenomenally high, facilities are willing to engage in this aggressive, hyper-competitive marketing warfare. And that warfare leads us to this staggering number, $3,500. According to the data, this is the routine Google Ads cost per admit, or CPA, for treatment centers. The competition is so fierce that bidding on just one search term, like inpatient alcohol treatment, can cost a facility up to $120 for a single click. I mean, imagine paying $120 just for a customer to glance at your store window and keep walking. That is exactly what facilities are dealing with, dropping massive monthly budgets into national SEO and pay-per-click campaigns just to battle it out for those top Google spots.
To put this digital bloodbath into perspective, let's contrast the Florida landscape with the New York market. It's a whole different animal. In New York, the extreme competitiveness is heavily driven by private equity. On top of that, there's a mandatory hurdle of LegitScript certification you have to jump through just to run paid media. And the SEO market? It is so saturated, it demands hyper-localized, conversion-optimized strategies. It makes traditional digital ad spends in these competitive regions brutal, wildly unpredictable, and undeniably expensive.
So while Google Ads demand a $3,500 cost per admit, look at Facebook ads. They often result in a $4,000 to $6,000 CPA. Why the huge discrepancy? Well, Facebook relies on low-intent interruption marketing. You're advertising to anonymous people scrolling their feeds who might not be actively looking for help at that exact moment, and that leads to massive drop-off rates and, ultimately, a ton of wasted marketing dollars.
Section 3. The Broker Problem. So what happens when facilities try to completely bypass the slow grind and those exorbitant costs of the digital bloodbath? Well, a much darker side of the industry emerges to fill the void.
To get around that massive ad spend, this gray market practice called body brokering was born. Independent marketers or consultants literally find insured patients, often online or even in recovery meetings, and they broker or sell their placement to whichever Florida facility bids the highest. Our sources note they frequently use illegal inducements to make this happen. Things like free airfare, paid rent, or straight-up cash. It's a predatory reality that creates what's known as the Florida Shuffle, where patients are just bounced from facility to facility purely to generate new billing cycles. States are definitely cracking down, but it's still this shadow influence that deeply complicates transparent patient care.
Section 4, the mdaddiction.help disruption. So the crucial point here is that the fundamental flaw in the traditional marketing machine is friction and a total lack of transparency. We're going to look at this platform not as a sales pitch, but as a genuinely fascinating technological case study in how to solve the logistical nightmare of the broker problem through structured B2B networking.
The platform operates on this really unique, dual-sided operational pipeline. Here's how it works on the front lines. Step 1. A hospital, first responder, or health department in Maryland identifies a patient in crisis. Step 2. Instead of blindly calling around, hoping someone has space, they use mdaddiction.help to track real-time bed availability for free. Step 3. The platform instantly matches the patient's demographic and insurance profile with a verified open bed. It completely bypasses the brokers and captures the patient at the exact moment they need help.
When you compare these models side by side, the operational efficiency is just obvious. Traditional ad spend is all about heavy top-of-funnel tactics, right? Anonymous clicks, unverified insurance checks, huge drop-off rates, versus the centralized pipeline, which gives you real-time bed tracking, verified intent, and direct access to over 150 referral coordinators who are actively placing patients today. This B2B model just strips out the friction. It directly solves the immediate placement bottlenecks that traditional SEO and PPC campaigns completely fail to address.
Section 5, the net zero economics. Let's move on and see how this builds into the hard mathematical ROI of this disruption. Because by plugging into a digital referral pipeline, facilities can completely undercut that bloated cost per admit of the traditional chaotic marketing model. The contrast here is just wild. Traditional ads are costing facilities anywhere from $5 to $10 grand per admission, and remember, that comes with absolutely zero guaranteed intent from anonymous searchers. But a platform like mdaddiction.help offers a professional tier at just $599 a month. To put that in perspective for you, $599 buys roughly 5 to 7 anonymous clicks on Google. But in a centralized pipeline, that exact same amount secures a full month of priority placement right in front of active frontline referral coordinators. And this leads to a super fascinating financial strategy. Sources call it the net zero marketing budget, and it's perfectly summed up by this quote: just one placement pays for the entire year. By simply reallocating a tiny fraction of the money normally wasted on dead-end Google clicks or Facebook ad drop-offs into a centralized referral system, a facility secures guaranteed B2B visibility. It completely alters their financial economics for the better.
Which leaves us with this final, really important thought to consider. As digital pipelines replace the expensive, chaotic digital billboards of traditional ad spend, who really wins the war for patient care? By shifting from a system relying on aggressive marketing and shadow brokers to one built on real-time data and verified intent, we see a market efficiency that could actually lead to better human outcomes. Because ultimately, reducing wasted ad spend means those resources can be redirected back to where they literally belong: patient care and long-term recovery. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope you found this breakdown as fascinating as I did. Keep questioning the data, and I'll catch you on the next one.